Hi, I'm Brianna Kelly here talking to Mr. Smith about the eligibility. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's great to be here.
All right, so what's going on with eligibility?
So we found a contradiction between what was in our N book and one of the school board policies.
Okay, and what does the N book state?
The N book states that a student, let's start with sports. So the N book states that a student that's playing a varsity sport, if they're failing more than one class, they're ineligible for a week, basically. And so that's what's been stated in our N book. The school board policy states that we're to follow the PIAA eligibility standards. And the PIAA eligibility standards say that you need to be passing at least 4 full credit classes, or the equivalent of 4 full credits.
So what would be the equivalent? So you could be passing like 2 gyms and 2 other classes, or?
Well, so 2 gyms, let's use like an art elective. So if you have a semester elective, that's only a half a credit. So if you're passing 2 semester electives, social studies, science, and English.
So it doesn't have to be your 4 main courses?
No, it doesn't have to be. The PIAA eligibility doesn't state that it has to be core courses.
Okay. And so what are you planning to do about this?
Well, once we found out about it, I immediately contacted Ann Rourke, because Ann Rourke, our business manager, athletics falls under her umbrella. We then got in touch with the superintendent. It happened pretty fast. We got together, we had a meeting, and we sort of did some homework too. I went back through about 10 years of N books, and the eligibility standard in the N book has never changed. It's always sort of been the same. So the contradiction was, the N book says we follow school board policy, but then it says we follow these standards. So we met with the superintendent, met with Ann Rourke, and we sort of came up with a solution that for the remainder of this year, we're going to follow school board policy that says PIAA eligibility. I made a Connect Ed phone call. I told parents that I drafted a letter, and I thought that was the fastest way to get it everyone, was to draft a letter, put it on the website. I also put a draft of the student eligibility section in the N book, the revision, on our website, so people can go in and see. The other part of this is that will take us through this year, but we're going to need to get a task force together to see what direction we want to go with eligibility for the future.
Okay, and why is eligibility so important?
Well, eligibility is important because you want to make sure students are taking care of what's most important, and that's what's happens between 7:30 and 2:30. If they're not taking care of their academics, then we don't want to necessarily turn them loose with athletics or other types of extracurricular activities. The number one priority is what happens in the classroom.
Okay, and what are your concerns about it changing, the standards changing?
Well, anytime there's change, people they're going to get a little nervous, asking questions about why. I think it's important to have eligibility standards. I mean, PIAA says you have to have them. And then there's the discussion, well, are they strong enough? Is passing 4 classes enough? And that's where we'll sort of talk it out with sort of this task force. And my vision is to have, maybe a board member, central administrator, a couple teachers, a couple students, and really, initially take a look around and see what other schools are doing. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think if the group believes that the eligibility we had set prior to sort of looking at the school board policy is appropriate for Norristown, and it's in line with other schools in the area, well then I think we should stick with it. If we find that it's not appropriate, then I think we have a little bit of work to do.
Okay, and what are your hopes for the outcome of next year with the policy?
Well, I just want to make sure we're consistent. We can't have a school board policy that says one thing and then make up our own rules and do something else.
Yeah.
And like I said, I went through some N books. I went back 10 years, and the N book's sort of been that consistent, not failing more than one class. So we just need to be consistent.
Okay, and what made you want to look in the N book for this?
Well, there were a couple things. Mr. Palladino was sort of looking at the bigger picture with our eligibility standards across the board. And I happened to, be going through the N book, and I was trying to look at alignment of the policies in our N book and school board policies, and this is what we just happened to both kind of stumble upon.
Okay, and I know we're talking about athletics a lot. Does this apply to after-school activities too?
Well, the true nature of the rule applies to all activities.
Okay.
So what we've done in the past, and I'm going to say it's been done loosely, is that we've asked the sponsors of our extracurricular activities to to sort of, go in and check grades. But I think this sort of brings to light the idea that we need to make sure we're taking care of what's going on in the classrooms from 7:30 to 2:30. Extracurriculars are a huge part of what we do here. We have over 40 clubs. We have a great athletic program. We have awesome music and arts programs. We have lots of outreach. We have lots of, our students are really involved in the community. And we don't want to take any of that away. We just want to make sure that we're all doing our jobs in the classroom.
And do you have fear of grades dropping due to the standards dropping?
That is a concern, but I don't have that fear. I think, the students, the number one goal here, all the adults in the building are here to support you guys. And any student that's ever in danger of, failing a class, and we have multiple levels of support. And I think it's important that we access those various levels of support. And we don't just do it for athletes. We just don't do it for people that are involved in, the drama club.
Yeah.
We want to do it for everyone.
Okay, and what are your overall hopes for the whole situation?
Well, my hopes are that we get a task force together, and we have some various voices heard, and we come to a decision that's in line with with the school board policy. And if the policy needs to be changed, there's a process for that. Changing the N-book's easy. Changing a school board policy is not so easy. So we're going to probably take that up, and I'm going to say probably starting around November. We need to get school started, get into school, get through a quarter, and look at some data. And like I said, pull neighboring school districts, look at what other places are doing, and then sort of that group having a consensus, going to the school board, going to our central administration, and saying this is the direction that we'd like to follow.
Okay, and how do you think this will benefit the students?
Well, I think anything that has to do with their academic well-being will benefit students. Like I had said, we have various layers of support. We want everyone to be successful, and everyone works at various paces and takes various courses. And to support those types of programs, you need to be able to have the support in place. It's one thing to say that we want everyone to get A's and we want everyone to be successful. But if you don't have the support in place, if you don't have the support of staff, then it's not possible. We have supports in place, and we have very supportive teachers. So everyone has the opportunity to be successful in Norristown.
Of course. And with this discovery made, have you searched through the N-book even more for other things that don't just match up?
I got to that point, and I sort of stopped. I did flip through a little bit, and it seems like everything else is in alignment. But it will take, we will go a little deeper because we don't want to make sure there can be no contradictions. Everything has to be aligned.
Okay, and so what are we going by for eligibility for the rest of this year?
For the rest of this year,
PIAA?
PIAA eligibility, passing 4 full credits or an equivalent thereof.
Okay, and then next year you're going to make the decision to change it?
No, not just me. It's going to be a group of us.
Okay.
And it'll have to go through the school board.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just I appreciate the time, and if anyone has any questions, I would ask them to come on down, and I'll sit down and be happy to speak with them about it.
Of course. Well, thank you for being here today.
No, it's great.
I'm Brianna Kelly here talking to Mr. Smith about the eligibility. Now back to the Eagle's Eye.